Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. And today we are going to study the remaining part of chapter 3 of textbook English class 10th. So before going to start our lessons, I would like to ask you some questions. So please answer these questions so that you may get ready for the lessons. The very first question is, what do you understand by his chiasm of our town? Good. The answer is, he has some qualities like those of chiasm. Compare the blood with red watermelons. So please compare the blood with red watermelon. Good. Watermelon is red like blood. Do you remember the phrase as idle as a painted oceans? Do you remember? Where have you read this phrase, as idle as a painted ocean? Good. From the poem On the Oceans, written by S.T. Coleridge in 8th class, you have read as idle as a painted ship on a painted ocean. Okay. So dear students, if you notice, all these sentences, all these phrases have very special effect. So to create very special effects, the writers, the poets use some literary terms which are called figure of speech. So today our topic is figures of speech. Understands? These figures of speech are many, but in your course there are few: simile, metaphor, imagery, personification, and alliteration. These 5 are given in your course, and today we will read about them. So let's start. The very first is simile. Simile is actually comparison between two unequal or different things with common quality, using the words such, like, and as. Such, like, and as. We use these words to compare one thing with the other thing, though actually those things are unequal or different, but we find some quality that we find they have common in them. For example, I was wandering like a cloud. In the daffodil poem you have read, wandering like a cloud. Understand? Second, continuous like stars in the Milky Way. Again, this is from daffodils. This is also simile. The word like has been used to compare stars and daffodils. And in the third example, as strong as bull, as thin as sheet, as green as grass. 3 similes have been given here: as strong as bull, as thin as sheet, as green as grass. So we can compare things by using the words like, as, and such. Understand, you students? The next figure of speech is metaphor. Dear student, close comparison between two things in such a way that they feel one. Actually, this is, you can say, the refined form of simile. If we remove the word as and like from the simile, it becomes metaphor. Let's see the example. He is chiasm of this city. Understand? He is chiasm of this city. In this example, we have compared chiasm with that person. For example, you name he. Aslam is chiasm of this city. So it means you have compared Aslam with chiasm. But in this comparison, we see that Aslam and chiasm feel one personality. So this is the close comparison. And we remove the word just as like and as we remove, and it becomes metaphor. Understand, dear students? The next example, he is line of our village. He is lying our village. Understand? He is not a lion, but why he is lying? He is lying. Actually, we are comparing his bravery with the bravery of lion. So we say he is lying our village. So this is metaphor. Understand? So we can say close comparison between two things in such a way that they feel one, just like he is lion, he and lion are one thing, he and chiasm are one thing. Okay, this is metaphor, but actually we have compared them. Understand? And we have removed the word like and as. Note the words like, as, and such are eliminated to make metaphor. Understand, you students? Again, they see the example. He is as hardworking as chiasm. This is simile because we have used the word as hardworking as chiasm. And the next example, he is chiasm of our city. In this example, we have removed the word as, and it has become he is chiasm of our city. So this is metaphor. Understand? Go to the next figure of speech, that is imagery. This is very important things. Imagery. Dear students, imagery is not a separate thing. Actually, simile, metaphor, personification, all these three things are part of the imagery. But here so we have discussed imagery as a separate part. Understands? To present something in its absence and make feel its effect as it is really present. To present something in its absence and make feel its effect as it is really present. So you can say we present description of something that one feels as if he is experiencing the thing in his before his eyes. Okay, for example, so this is one tip for imagery. 5 senses are used to make imagery, that are hearing, seeing, touching, tasting, and smelling. So, dear student, though these senses are used to make imagery, but this is the very weak form of imagery. Okay, this is not considered the real imagery. This is called in literature weak imagery. Okay, that is related to the 5 senses. Examples: the leaves were rustling. This is the sound and it relates to hearing. Understand? The dark night was frightening. This is about seeing. The flowers were smelling sweet. This is about smelling. So this is 5 senses action. So this is also imagery, but this is weak imagery. So what is real imagery? Real imagery actually in literature or in English language we call description of something so minutely that one feels as if he is experiencing the thing in actuals. Actually, this is the very clear description of something in such a way that a person feels as if he himself is experiencing the thing in actual. Understand? So very clear description of something is called real imagery. Understand? Let's see the example. This is a situation, and this situation has been told very clearly, and a person can very easily guess or imagine how was and what was there. He was lying with face on earth. Okay, his hands were tied on his back. The rope was piercing his wrists and making red lines, out of which blood could trickle at any moment. He was twisting with pain, recoiling like a dying snake. Dear students, if you think a little deeply, you will see that how clearly the situation has been told, that a person is lying on the earth and with the face on the earth, his hands are tied back, and they are tied so tightly that there is a chance that blood will trickle any moment, and he is twisting with pain and coiling like a dying snake. So this is very clear situation, very minutely the observation has been given, so this is real imagery. Understand? But in your course, at your level, you have to understand these 5 senses imagery: hearing, seeing, touching, tasting and smelling. In 9th class you have read the story, the poem Robert Frost's Stopping by the Woods on a Snowy Evening. That has imagery, okay. And but this imagery is the clear description of something. This is actual imagery or real imagery. So go to the next part of figure of speech: personification. From the name personification, persons, it is clear that when human traits are attributed to an inanimate thing, it is called personification. When the traits of human being are given to some other thing that is not human, but that thing feels as if that is also human, so we say, oh, this is personification. This figure of speech, this effect is called personification. Let's see the example. Daffodils were dancing. You see that daffodils are not human, but their action has been compared with the action of the human being dancing. Daffodils were dancing, so we can say daffodils have been personified here. Understand? Waves were dancing. Again, waves have been personified as if they are female or as if they are human beings. Virtue defeats evil. So virtue defeats evil, as if evil and virtue are 2 armies and they are fighting each other and one defeats other. So this is again the personification. In this example, virtue and evil has been personified with fighting army. Understand it, student? Personification you have understood. The next figure of speech is alliteration. The repetition of same sound in a phrase or sentence. Any repetition of any single sound at the very beginning of a word more than one time is called repetition. And normally it is consonant sound, just like seashells on the seashore. In this example, you see sea, shell, sea, shore. Sha sound has been repeated. In the second example, water in rivers runs short. River runs. The initial sound is ra sound has been repeated. So this is the effect of repetition of sound. This is called alliteration. Again in the example, we enjoyed flying boat in the fun fair. Flying boat in the fun fair. You see, flying fun fair. So fa sound has been repeated 3 times. A fun, fair, flying. So this is called alliterations. Understand, dear students? Now let's review. What is simile? Comparison of 2 different things with common trait. Understand? Define metaphor. Close comparison of different things that they feel one. What is imagery? Description of something so clearly that it feels in front of eyes. Understand? And alliteration. What is personification? Show something inanimate as human. Understand? And alliteration, to repeat the consonant sound at the beginning of a word in a sentence or in a phrase, that is called alliteration. Understand it, students? I hope you have understood very well. Now this is your homework. The first homework is change the simile into metaphor in the following sentences. He was running like a horse in the race. She looks like a princess. The watermelon was red like blood. They look like professional dancers. And next activity, our homework is find out the simile, metaphor, imagery and personification in the following sentences. He is strong like a bull. The death was dancing on their faces. He was as clever as a crow. And he is Rustam of our village. So dear student, you have to do this homework and make a practice of this all, changing simile into metaphor, metaphor into simile, understand, point out simile, imagery, personification from all these examples. Now this is the time to give your homework. Your homework is to solve the examples and have to write in your notebooks. Thank you.